Hello, hello. I hope you are all ready. Your mind is switched on to hear really good stuff. At the end, by the end of this session, you will, and I promise you this, you will see biology, studying biology completely different. All right. So before I go on, let me do a bit of introduction about myself. So I was teaching for 5 years in a top school that was actually River Valley High, and I after that I decided like, hey, I want to do this on my own, and then I left it and started. What can teachers do, right? Other than doing a tuition center. So I did tuition center for 2 years. At that time, there was no social media, and I felt like a lot of the money was going back into marketing. We used to have newspaper ads and whatnot. And then I decided, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. So I went into private tuition, and I've been doing it for the past 13 years. The interesting thing is that one clear observation that I did when I was teaching one-to-one. So one-to-one, the kids can come from any school, right? Could be neighborhood school, could be top school, doesn't matter. But the clear difference I see between a top school student, like the kids that I used to teach, and a neighborhood kid is the way they approach the subject and nothing else. It has nothing to do with intelligence level. It has nothing to do with your PSLE grade or your lower secondary science grade. Okay. How many of you like the sound of that? That the way to get an A grade in biology has nothing to do with which school you come from. It has only got to do with how you approach the subject. If you like what you hear, can you type yes in the chat box now? Yeah. So while I was teaching one-to-one every year, whoever took bio with me, well, I was teaching bio, so whoever took bio with me, they 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 were getting either very average grade or just barely failing. And by the time they go for O level, they got an A. A case in point is last year in August, one kid approached me and he was saying, okay, Mr. Dean, my bio is F9 and I'm going to have prelim in 2 weeks, but I think I cannot save my prelim. So let's go for O level. I want to get the best grade I can get. So I talked to him and I told him the exact same thing. I said, you have enough time if you put in the effort. So students have to put in the effort. I'll put in my 100%, you put in your 100%, and you will get an A by the time when you take your O level. So early this year, when he got the results, he called me and he said, you know what, Mr. Dean, you're right. I got an A. So he's from F9 in August. And by the time he went to take in October, he was already super confident. He knew exactly what he was doing because of the things that I'm going to share with you tonight. So if you'd like to know how he got it, would you type me? Say you, yeah, I want it. So me. Type in the chat box, yeah. All right, so let's go on to the next one. I'm going to do some polls here so I can know who I'm talking to. So where is my polling? Okay. I need to refresh the poll. Let's refresh, launch. Can you see the question now? Okay, so I'm seeing it. All right. Whoa, so I have 89% says you are in Sec 3, 11, 15, now going up to 15. Ooh. All right, I'm going to end in 2 seconds. So 85% of us in this room are Sec 3 students. That's really great because it's good that you come in at this good point rather than like, at the later end, like my last year student. And 15% comes from Sec 4 and 5. So the one that graduating level. Huh? Okay, now I want to know, what grade are you getting? I see a lot of you getting a B. Now C is the most Some of you unfortunately getting an F, some getting E and D. Oh, okay, seems like it's done. So what does it say? 10% is already getting an A, that's really good. And 29% getting B, 29% getting C, 14% getting D, 5% E, and 14% F. So now I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you right on. No, before that, let me do the next question. Okay. Okay. What grade do you want to get in test and exam? Oh, I get an A. Right. Nice. More and more saying A. Nice. Okay, I'm going to end in 1 second. Perfect. I'm going to, everyone wants to get an A, which means I'm talking to the right crowd. Okay. I always tell my students that if you don't want to get an A, I shouldn't be taking you for the tuition. Okay. Saying it. So, okay. So let's carry on. So you know what? A is between 70 and above. Now, I hope when you say A, you are really saying 75 and above. Because I'll tell you, this is what I'll tell all my students is, if you know the right way to study, it is impossible for you to not get an A. People who have been getting B, okay, B3 or B4, is because you are extra smart in memorizing. People who are getting C and D is because you don't understand what's going on completely. Okay, E and F, you don't know how to approach it. Maybe you don't like your teacher, liking a teacher makes a big difference. Maybe the teacher is not teaching the right way you like it, and maybe you just lost the interest. But the fact that you're here means you want to save the subject. So let's carry on. Okay. So first you need to understand, why do students struggle with biology? Okay, I know some of you are getting B's and C's. If you have been studying really hard and you're getting a B and C, that means you're struggling. Okay, B is a good grade, but if you're studying really hard to get a B, you are struggling. Okay, I'm going to show you why you shouldn't be struggling at all to get an A. Okay, so the first reason is this: you are using an outdated technique. So let me use the drawing. Okay, what happened is this. A lot of us, we go through the lower secondary science, right? And then we move on to upper secondary science. During the lower secondary science, okay, the content of science is very little. Even though it is spread over 2 years, every year you're actually studying very little. So you do what you did in primary school. You do rote memory work, correct or not? I'm sure most of you do rote memory work, okay? And then you go on to the upper secondary. And you think that, okay, since it's still science, I should do the same thing. I should do rote memory. The truth is, in upper secondary science, you study at least 2 sciences, right? The problem is you start in Sec 3, and when is your major exam? It is in Sec 4. Between this, at the beginning and the end, you have at least 20 months. Correct, no? Okay, before you take the O level. At O level, whatever happened in your school doesn't matter. The school exam, school test doesn't matter because O level stands on its own. Correct, no? Okay, so the longer it takes for you to take the actual exam, the more difficult is going to be for you to recall what you did in the early stages of Sec 3, maybe the first 3 months or maybe the first 6 months. So it's going to be very difficult. On top of that, if your understanding of the early topics is not very strong, you are actually building the whole subject on very shaky foundation. So when it's very shaky foundation, can you imagine when you get closer and closer to O levels, you are really going to panic, you know? And unless you have someone to save you, then a lot of people, they struggle with self-confidence. And the reason why they don't do well in O level is not because they have problem with the subject, because low confidence just brings them down and they couldn't do the questions because they always think that they're not going to get it right. Okay, so why I say outdated, because what worked in lower secondary, what worked in primary school will not work in upper secondary. Okay, I hope you have a notebook or paper with you and a pen. So it's best you write it down as notes, because by the end of this session, I don't know whether you're going to remember what I said right? So this is the first thing that you need to know. You are using outdated study technique. Later, I'm going to show how you're going to study, all right? So the next one, why? What's happening? I can move my slide forward. Oof. Oh, I know why. The mouse. Sorry. Okay. So you tend to give the correct answer to the wrong question. What do I mean by that? You see the correct answer. So any answer that you put down in the exam paper is actually correct, but you're probably answering for a different question. So essentially I'm trying to say is you think you're answering the correct thing to the question that's being asked, but actually you are not. Okay, I'm going to give you a real example of a student, right? So students answer. So let's read this. Okay, a potato was cut. You're all familiar with diffusion and osmosis, right? By now you would be Sec 3 or Sec 4. Okay, a potato was cut in half and the skin was removed for 2 cm, okay, around the cut end of each half. So cut into half and then there's this thing. Hollow was then scooped out of the other end of each and they were placed in a dish of water as shown below. So there's water here. A small amount of sugar was then placed in each hollow. 3 hours later, it was observed that the sugar has dissolved and each hollow contained liquid up to level shown on the diagram. Okay, this is 3 hours later. The water around the potato in one of the dishes, A, was then replaced by a concentrated sugar solution. The other dish, B, was left unchanged. So there's two of this setup. Okay, so what happened? Okay, let's see how my student answered this. Okay, so this is the same thing as just now. So they asked, what changes would you expect to see after a further 3 hours in dish A? Straight away, the student said the sugar would have dissolved. This is very funny, yeah? Okay, why? Because the question is such a long-winded question, they forgot. Where is my cursor? Okay. How come I cannot see the mouse? Okay, so the sugar would have dissolved in the water. Can you see down here? 3 hours later, it was observed that sugar had dissolved in the water. So why is this student giving an answer that was already stated in the question? The answer is very simple. A lot of students, when they have very long question, they read it and they quickly jump to conclusion, oh, this is what they want. Then they just write it down without realizing that it's already been given in the question. So obviously this is wrong. Okay, then in dish B, the sugar will remain as sugar solution and it's already saturated. This is also wrong. I want to bring you to this question. Why was part of the skin removed from each pieces of the potato when the experiment was being prepared? So this is another type of error that we always do. Okay, let me change. So they said the removal of the skin enhances the rate of diffusion and osmosis. Now, if you still remember your osmosis and diffusion, down here it says removal of skin enhances. What in English, what does it mean when you say enhances? It means it was already happening and then it suddenly become better, right? No, it enhances, which is wrong because the skin is waterproof. So if there was a skin, there will be no diffusion or osmosis. So the answer should be the removal of skin allows for diffusion and osmosis. So what I'm trying to say here, I'm not, okay, you don't have to write down the answer. What I'm trying to say here is they don't think through the question. They don't pay attention to the keywords in the question before the answer. So that is one of the biggest reasons why they lose marks. Okay. And then in here, say, explain, so let me clear the floor, okay. Explain that these changes will reference the cell of the tissue. So it says the water potential in the cell of the potato is lower than the surrounding liquid. Therefore, the liquid in the surrounding diffuses into the potato. I'm going to give you a moment here. Something is very, very wrong here, right? Can you detect it before I say it out? Okay, so let's see. It says water potential. When do you use the term, the key phrase water potential? In osmosis right now. So if you're using it in osmosis, then why did this person say it's lower than the surrounding liquid? It should be in the surrounding solution. So therefore, we know this is wrong, right? It's supposed to be osmosis. The water in the surrounding solution or in the surrounding solution diffuses into the potato. No, it cannot be. This is so wrong. So all the keyword, this person like kind of got the idea, but the concept is very, very weak. So just hantam, no, anything, just put there anything, hopefully they get it right. So everything is wrong. Huh? So this person has not studied the way he should be studying. Okay. The next reason why you don't get the grades that you deserve is because you overstudy. Okay. Why do I say overstudy? Because all the while, teachers will say, oh, you must study very hard. Okay, you must study everything. That is the problem. Even when your parents ask you, have you studied everything? Then you say, yeah, you studied. The problem is when you overstudy, there's too much, okay, too much info in your brain. And when you want to access them during the exam, you're going to trip up unless your rote memory power is really good. But what will happen is if you're always be rote memorizing for bio, your chemistry, or your physics, then at the end, you're going to really hate science because you don't find any meaning in it. And I know a lot of students who came to me, they hated science until I started to teach them. Then they realize, oh, I never thought about it. Oh, it's actually so easy. So the reason is you overstudy. How many of you make notes? Can you type in the chat? You make notes for yourself. Put that me. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's very good. Does your note look like this? Oh, how many of your notes look like this? I need to clear the drawing now. Okay, if your notes look like this, can you put that me? Yeah, so that's the problem. These pictures I took from Carousel. There are people who have graduated O levels and then they're trying to sell their notes there. I'm telling you, if you see this kind of notes, do not buy it. Why? Because this is a really good example of overstudying. So what they did is they read their teacher's notes or they read the textbook and then they just keep writing. They just keep writing. Everything that they think is important, they just write out there. That is not how you make notes. Okay, you make notes by only identifying the really important stuff. And how do you identify the really important stuff? I'll talk about it later. Okay. All right, so let's carry on. So Now that you know the three things why you are not getting the grades you deserve, let's talk about what you need to do to get the A grades. And the important thing, I capitalize it, is it has to be effortless. That means when you study bio, right, you feel good about it. And then when you answer the questions, you feel like, hey, I know exactly what they're asking and I know what to say in my answer. So the first thing you need to do is you need to aim for deep understanding. Okay, so what do I mean by deep understanding? Is that, okay, you need to, have you ever like thought, when teachers or your tutors ask you, can you explain to me what is osmosis? Then you're like, I understand, but I don't know how to explain. How many of you have ever said this to your teacher or your tutor when you're studying? Can you put that me? Yeah. Okay. So the truth is this, if you say this, I understand, but I don't know how to explain, it means you actually don't understand. Okay. If you really understand, you will be able to explain it without even memorizing. Are you getting me? Okay. So far, are you getting good stuff? Are you learning something new? If yes, just put yes in the chat. Yeah, nice. Okay. All right. So how do you achieve deep understanding? So this is a term that I always tell my students, you need to go for deep understanding. So I will use the drawing a bit, then I will tell you how deep understanding works. Deep understanding is like this, okay? When you know one fact, so this is, let's say this is one idea, talking about osmosis. Because you understand osmosis, you understand how water moves. Okay, so another one. Because you understand how water moves, you understand how the blood system works. And then because you understand that, you also understand how transport in plants work. Then you understand turgor pressure. I hope you know what turgor pressure is. Huh? This is under the plant. Okay, so all these things you understand, you see the connection in everything. Now, why you need to see the connection? So that even without memorizing, you will say, if someone asks, hey, how does this work? You say, oh, because of this and because of this. You can go backwards. It is a very logical explanation. Okay, so that's the thing. Next one is, okay, science uses logic. Okay, so once you understand the logic, you don't have to memorize. How many of you, I'm going to assume every single one of you, parents and students in this room today, you all have your own phone, right? How many of you had to refer to a manual to know how to use your phone? How many of you have never referred to a manual and you automatically can use already? Can you put that me and type in the chat? Yeah. Why? Because when you look at it, it's just logical. Oh, this one, I click this, it will go there. I tap this, it will go there. I need to tap twice and tap. So it's just logical. That's the next time you take out your phone, do you need to memorize how to do it? You don't have to. So there are a lot of scientists. I'm telling you, there's a whole huge team of scientists, tech people who designed your phone to make sure that it's super logical. So it's like, they call it intuitive. The moment you take out your phone, switch it on, you automatically know what to do. Science uses that same logic. All science research is based on logic. If A happens, they will say, what caused A to happen? Oh, okay, X happened. So if X happened, then, and something happened to X, A will happen. And because A happened, B happened. So if anyone come to you and ask, why did B happen? You automatically say, oh, because A happened, and A happened because X happened. Does that sound logical to you? If yes, type yes in the. Nice. Okay. Great. I'm getting great responses. Huh? So now, what's the problem? The problem now is you have been studying. I don't know which school you're from. I've never met you, but I know one thing. You have been studying science like a series of facts. So facts number 1, fact number 2, facts number 3, number 4. There is no logical link to all this. Why? Because your teacher, I cannot blame your teacher. Your teacher has no time to make all this connection because one period is only 40 minutes, most, or 50 minutes in some school. Okay, so they don't have the time. They have to finish the syllabus by the end of the year. So they will just share what they can share in the session and then they will leave. So you are left with a bunch of facts. You also got too many things. You never take time to sit down and think. And because it is your first time learning this, you also won't know how to link all this up. So that is why in my session, I always take a lot of effort to link this up. The moment students see the link of A to B to C, okay, they automatically like, oh, no wonder. And the moment they say no wonder, it means this thing has gone into their mind. It will stay there as long as they want to remember it. Are you understanding what I'm saying so far? Can you say yes if you are understanding? Just put it in the chat. Awesome. Okay. Next. Okay. So the next thing I always say is to achieve deep understanding. This is you're studying on your own. You need to study in layers. So just now, Alex was saying, right? Hey, you will learn how to study in layer. So what I mean by study in layer is you need to know what the topic is about before going deeper. So I share this. This is one whole chapter on transport in humans. I hope you have done it in school. So what happened? I know for most of you, okay, let me ask you, how many of you have actually opened your textbook and read something in the textbook? Say, I have. See, so few. Okay, so a lot of the students that I take in my tuition, the problem is okay, oh, I keep losing the mouse, sorry. Where is my mouse? Okay, so what they do is, I can use the drawing function. Okay, so let me use spotlight function. See, okay, y'all can see that laser beam kind of thing, right? So what they do is they will open up the book and then they will go from top to bottom. They read every single word because they're very good student. I believe they're very good student. Then they read. Then when they get stuck, they don't understand something. Then they continue reading. Oh, what's going on? Okay, they continue reading. And they continue reading. Then they get stuck again. They get stuck again. Then they say, oh, yo, this topic is very, very difficult. So I'm going to tell you how to do this. When you're reading a topic, be it your teacher's notes or a textbook, you look at it. Okay, so let me switch screen. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll go and show you how is it done in real life. And open up the actual textbook. Okay, so this is a textbook. Okay. So you see, okay, oh, this is a transport. Okay, then, oh, large organism needs transport. So you go and only read the top level headings first. Oh, layout of a mammal. Okay, mammal have double circulatory system. Okay, I'm going to, in your mind, so I'm just reading out what should go in your mind. Okay, I'm going to learn oxygenated, deoxygenated blood. Okay, maybe I don't know what it is now. Oh, then I'm going to learn the structure of the heart. Then I'm going to learn the coronary artery supply, heart muscle. And then I'm going to learn something about the heartbeat, maybe how it works. Oh, okay, I see the systole, dystole. So you're just going through looking at the pictures, and then you look at the blood vessels. Okay, I'm going to learn about blood vessels. Oh, okay, arteries. So you go through this whole thing. Now you have kind of a rough idea of what this topic is about. Then you will go in and you will read them. But can you tell me whether I'm saying the truth? How many of you find textbook really boring to? Say me in the chat box. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. Even teachers find textbook boring because textbooks are not meant to be, for Joshua Cheng, you love to read textbooks. It's very good. So you already got one less challenge than others. Textbooks are never meant to be interesting. They are not stories. They're just giving you information. Okay. The way to read a textbook is to read it fast. Why? Because when you read fast, your mind needs to keep being engaged to. Okay, so if the red dot is your fingertip, you use your fingertip and you read fast. When you read fast, your mind has no choice but to follow what you're reading, and that will keep you engaged. Whenever you have a question, like, what is this talking about? So you need to then write here that question that came out in your mind. So this is what we call active reading. So you read. Then when you don't understand, you circle it and you put it, don't understand. Then you read through, because the reason maybe you don't understand the beginning, maybe the question in your mind will be answered later on in the chapter. Are you following me? Put yes if you're following me. If you have a question, you can ask the question in the chat now. Okay, so this is how you go through. Nice. Okay, so everyone's understand, huh? Okay, so I'm going to go back to my slides. Okay, so this is how you do what I call study in layers. The top layer, anything you want to get to the center of anything, you need to go from a top layer down slowly, right? So this is the same thing you do for every topic in biology, okay, and actually for every science. Okay, so next. Okay, so know what type of questions can be tested. This is very shocking. A lot of students don't realize that you can actually know what type of question is going to come out at the end of the year and even for next year, end of next year. How do you know? Does anyone have any idea? If you have, please type into the chat box. How can I know what type of questions can come out of O-levels? Okay, so Tanisha said there's a pattern. Nice. Past year papers, yes. EYS, nice. So see, only 3% know. So most students that I teach, they don't know how. Okay, same answers, different way of asking the same thing. Yeah, so these students, they got it. So first thing first, you need to understand the 20-80 rule. What is 20-80 rule? So let me try the draw function again. So if I'm stuck because of that, then sorry for that. If this is a topic, okay, and this is an exam for the topic, you all should be drawing it in your own paper. Okay, so this is the topic. Okay, excuse the messiness, because when you write it, these kind of things, it's never nice. Topic, and this is the exam. Okay, understand this. This is very, very important. Out of the whole topic, only 20% of it, okay, 20% of that topic will cover 80% of the exam. Now, this is not the exact mathematical formula, but I'm saying that a minority amount of the topic will cover a majority of the exam. So what it's saying is the rest of the 80% here, okay, will only make up 20% in the exam. So this relates to my point saying just now that a lot of students overstudy. The question is this now. If I know 20% will cover up 80%, then does that mean, so I'm using logical thinking, that means if I know this 20%, where is this 20% in the topic, and I study the 20%, I will be able to answer 80%. Is that true or false? Can you type T and F? If you think true, put T, F, put false. Nice, so you're getting it, huh? Okay, so I'm going to repeat it one more time, because this is like really, really, it changes the mind of my students every time. Okay, 20% of the topic covers 80%. So if I study the 20%, I need to first know where is that 20%. I will be able to answer 80%. If I'm able to answer 80%, what is the grade? What grade is it? Can you type into the chat box? Yes. Yes, A1. Swida, Tanisha, Shirley, you got it? Yes. Okay, yes, A1. So how many of you would like to only study 20% and still get A1 for the exam? Say me. Of course, right? Who would want to study so much? Trust me, even teachers don't want to study. I never like to study, but I like to learn. I don't like to study. There's a difference. Okay. Okay, next point is, so the way to find out the 10-year series, the 20% is in your 10-year series. So let me then open up another one. I'll show you how to look at it. Just give me a moment. Okay, let me share a screen. So let's say this is a 10-year series for transport. Okay, when you scroll down, I usually don't look at the MCQ. MCQ doesn't really give me much value for this, the purpose of this. Are you seeing the 10-year series I'm scrolling? Can see, okay. So I will look at the paper 2 and paper 3 questions. I look, oh, okay, this is the type of question they're asking. This is what they want to know. So whatever they put here, okay, okay, they will show me a graph and then they ask me to state label what type of, which one is showing what arteries or what vessels. Okay, they're going to show me something like this. Okay, I need to know this. I need to know this. Okay, I need to see this histology, they call it histology, this whole red blood cell, and should be able to answer certain things. So now that I know these are the questions that come out, and I know that they can give me some kind of experiment question, structure of the heart, and this is the section B. So all this, what is a double circulation? All these things is something that you must know. You must know it 100%. So that when questions come out in any way, they're actually asking the same thing. So they ask the same question using either different examples or using different phrases, but they're actually asking for the same information. So you will know that these are the questions that will come out. You must be prepared. Now, I told you about the 2080, right? So let me go back to my slide. 2080 rule. Okay, the 2080 rule means you need to know in the topic, there's a 20% that's tested, right? You need to understand the 80% of the topic will help you to understand the 20%. So it doesn't mean that you only read the 20%. Is you need to read the whole thing and you must know that the 80% is helping you to understand the 20%. The moment you have deep understanding, so I'm going back to the first point I made, you must have deep understanding. Once you have deep understanding of the 20%, you can forget about the 80%. It will not affect you in the exam. So how do you know all these things? Use 10 years. Are you following me? Say yes in the chat box. Nice. Okay. Okay. So now you have the 10-year series. I'm telling you this, as a teacher who used to set a lot of exams, in 10 years, for one topic like the transport in humans, can all possible questions that I as an examiner could ever said would have come out in the 10 years? Yes or no? Type yes or no. In that 10 years, I have no choice but to answer all possible questions, right? Right, so you're getting it. So if you know that in 10 years, the 10-year series is giving all the questions that have come out in a topic for the last 10 years, how is it that you are not completely prepared for your next A level? And if you're completely prepared, how come you cannot get A grade? It's impossible for you to not get an A grade. How many of you agree with me? Type agree. If you say disagree, then you type disagree. Exactly. So even people who have understood this loophole, they still cannot get an A because the deep understanding. So sometimes the deep understanding is where I come in and I need to help my students to achieve that deep understanding. The moment they have that, they don't have to memorize. At least they only have to memorize maybe 20% of the topic. The rest they can forget about it. So remember the notes I show you. Don't waste your money. There are people, there are kids who are after graduated, they're selling it in Carousel. Don't bother. It's a waste of time. The best notes, okay, write this down, this line. The best notes is the notes that you make for yourself. I'm going to repeat it because this is so important. Write it down. The best notes are the notes that you write for yourself. Why? Because in the act of writing and processing the information to make it into a note, that is what you call studying. Studying is about having deep understanding and making your own notes. And how do you make your own notes? You need to know what will come out, and only what will come out or what type of questions can come out, you put it into the notes. Everything else, don't bother putting in the notes. The purpose of a note is 1 or 2 days before the exam, you use the notes, forget about the textbook because you have processed the information there and you use it to study. That's it. Because it will make sense to you and only you. So if you have made your notes and you think that you can pass it to your friends won't benefit from it because the notes is written for yourself. Are you following me? Yes, type yes. Nice. Okay. So this is, I show you just now. Then student always ask me, what if something else comes out? How many of you have ever thought about this? Hey, you say 20% only about what if something else comes out, Okay, so what you need to do is, you need to know this. Exam papers are set systematically. What does it mean? Okay, the topics and the level of questions are weighted across the paper. What do I mean by this? Okay, how many of you know the different levels of question that your teachers can ask you? Anyone know? If not, just put me inside. No one, huh? Okay. So the different types of questions is this. Can you see here? Knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. Knowledge is recall. Define the term osmosis. That's knowledge. Comprehension is why osmosis happened. Application is like the potato question that I was talking about. Okay, that is application. At O level, they will already ask analysis, synthesis, evaluation. Now, here's the good thing. Good thing is, when we set exam paper, it cannot be so difficult that only a minority will pass. They will set a paper where a person who has studied basic will be able to kind of just barely pass. Then a person who studied more will be able to get a C, a B, a low B, and then someone who studied really well will get an A. So they spread. There is no way me as a bio teacher going to set an exam so difficult that 70% or 60% fail. Then I am a bad teacher, set an exam that's above my students' grade level. Okay, so this is what happens. Next. Okay, So what I teach my students is this concept called cause and effect thinking. Once you have a cause and effect thinking and you have studied the key points to 20%, you can answer any question. And the fact is, the higher level question will only have like about 22 marks maximum. I think very rarely you will get 3 marks. It's usually 1 mark to 2 marks. Now remember this, how many percent do you need to get at A1? Can you type into the box, into the chat? How many percent do you need? A1, 75%, right? So let's say for the sake of safety, you want to get 80%. The moment you can answer, so the whole idea is you go into the exam, it's not to answer 100% of the question paper. Some people they cannot answer one question and they panic. No, it is to get at least to be able to answer 80% of the questions, and you must answer it knowing very confidently that you got the right answer. Okay, if you learn the cause and effect way, which I teach my students, you will be able to answer any questions. Okay, how does cause and effect is something similar to logical thinking. So I'm going to use the draw. I hope it works this time. Okay, so if A happens, when A happens, it causes B to happen. When B happens, it causes C to happen. Remember, I said this just now. Then, because of C happen, either D happen or E happen. Okay, so what must happen? What condition must there be here before C becomes D? And what condition must it be here before C becomes E? So I will teach this way. So whenever the question asks, why is there E? Then you automatically must say, because this condition happened. Why this condition happened? Because C was in this place. Okay, so this is the cause, right? This is the cause, this is the effect. Alex, you need to mute them. Okay, then if they say, okay, B happened. Say, in this experiment, there was B. What will happen? What is the outcome of B? Then you automatically will know, oh, C will happen. And then if they ask some more, they can say, oh, if at C, if this situation is like this, D will happen. And if this situation was like this, E will happen. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Okay, so this is the cause, this is the effect. And then this is the cause, B is the cause for C to happen. So C is the effect. And C is the cause for D to happen. So this is the effect. And this is the condition. And the same C to E. If you understand, put yes in the chat. So your notes must be in this cause and effect process. Okay, the next one, the third one, the last one. Know how your answers are marked. How many of you, when you write your answers in an exam, you know exactly where the marks are applied? Put me if you are the one that knows. So let's say this question is 3 marks. You know exactly, okay, if I say this, I'll get 1 mark. If I say the next thing, I'll get another mark. And next thing, another mark. I should not put this because it's only 3 marks. How many of you are able to think that way? No, none. Okay, so this is what I also study. I also teach in my sessions. Okay, you need to know what to say and what not to say. Okay, once you see the marks, then you will know what points you have missed out. Okay, when you're at that level, you are so exam. This is exam smart. Exam smart means not like cheating the exam. Exam smart means you know exactly what to do when you enter the exam. Okay, and you know exactly which keywords and phrases are expected in your answer. So this I can really teach you later. If we have time, I will do some sample. Okay. So how to make awesome notes that reduce memory work? Going to the next level. So put only contents that can come out in the exam. Okay. follow the 2080 rules. I'm just going to doodle. This applies mostly to bio because bio got a lot of diagrams, right? How many of you actually practice drawing the diagram? Put that me. I got one. Yes, Charlotte. Yes. Suddenly, Chloe. Yes. Sherlyn. Yes. See, so not many people will actually. Now, when I say doodle, what do I mean? Okay, so let me. So yes, so now you know, doodle. So if I were to draw the heart, I must know how to draw the heart, you know. So I must practice just by looking at the diagram. Doesn't mean I will know. So when I draw, I will know every part because it's active. My hands drawing. So you see now, after so long, I still know how to draw the heart. So of course, because of I'm using this kind of digital pen, it won't come up. Then I know that this one is going out like this. Okay, I know there is a valve here. Why I know the valve? Because I draw. So of course it imprints in my mind. Then this is the one. Then I will label it. So am I looking for perfect drawing? No, that's why I say doodle. Doodle. The whole idea is to have a hand and mind connection. So as I'm drawing the, let's say, the cross section of the leaf, the cross section of the stem, then I know where's the phloem, where's the xylem. Okay, you're following me? Okay, so the next one is you draw to practice. So how many of you have ever seen your syllabus? It can be downloaded from the MOE. Yes, that's very good, Tanisha. Anyone else? Okay, Chloe, Lynn, yes, awesome. Swida, awesome. Okay, in your syllabus, it's written line by line. Amrita, awesome. Okay, what you are supposed to know and what you don't need to know. So in there, they will say, student must be able to draw whatever. So if they must know how to draw, you cannot doodle already. You must draw to practice how to draw because that means that question can come out. They will ask you to draw. And drawing usually will get at least 3-4 marks. You just draw one thing and you get 4 marks. Isn't it amazing? So simple. Are you following me? Yes? Put yes if you follow. Awesome. So to wrap up, this whole how to teach, how to study. So this is a study system. When I put them all together, will make even the most difficult topic become easy. I have never come across anything that is so difficult that I can't even get my students to understand. The moment I teach them using this system, they're like automatically like, wow, this is so easy. How come I found it so difficult when I was studying in school? Okay, so it's simple. What do you do? First, you aim for deep understanding. You should be writing this down. Aim for deep understanding. I already told you what is deep understanding. Next is know what type of questions can come up for each topic. And then make targeted notes. What do I mean by targeted notes? Targeted notes means I know what type of questions that can come out and I will write the notes to that type of question that actually answers that question. And number 4, practice, practice, practice. Practice what? A lot of you will go and practice other schools' paper and whatnot. I'm telling you, the first thing you must practice is your 10-year series. How many of you have gotten the 10-year series in the topical format? That means it goes topic by topic. How many of you? Say me. Nice, Jane. Yes. Charlotte, Amrita. Okay, Carol. Yes. You did the smart thing. I don't know whether your teacher asked you to buy, but if you have it, that means that's the first step. You do not buy the yearly until you are at least 2 or 3 months away from your actual O-level because it's not going to be useful. Do the topical because then you know, oh, this is the questions that can come out in this topic. First time you practice, you do the topical when you are doing the topic in school. The second time you practice is when you are, that means you're practicing the same questions. Okay, you practice it okay, when you are about to take the exam, the major exam at the end of the year. Okay. Then the third time then you'll be asking, right? I practice this. That means I write down in the 10-year series, all the, they always give the lines, I write down. Then how, like this, then how? I erase. Actually, 10-year series are not very expensive. You can always buy a new 10-year series, and then you practice again. The point here is this: if you have done it once and you do it again, and if you find it difficult, then how have you been practicing it the first time around? Something is wrong, right? Are you following me? So the second time you do it, it should be very easy. At this point, after you have done it, you want to do other schools' papers, fine. Because some schools, the teachers will purposely set more difficult questions because they know what they taught in the class. So they will tell the students, okay, you need to know this for my exam. So of course they will study, but you were not in the class one, you were not in the school. So how do you know what they actually taught? The last practice is the one that you do the 10-year series yearly. Can you write down? The last practice is yearly when you're actually practicing for or preparing for your actual O-level exam. So yearly means all the question will come out in different, in random orders, right? Random to you. And you must be able to look at the question straight away, say, oh, this is from this topic, or this is from that topic. You must be able to identify one. Okay, this is how. I'll tell you one thing. Every time O-levels, me and my colleagues as teachers, we will go and invigilate, right? So when it is, let's say, the bio paper, chemistry paper, physics paper, then of course, when we hand out all the papers in the hall to all the students, then we'll go and look at the paper. Then we look at the paper, we always we say that every year, the questions are always the same type of questions. It's actually boring to us, okay? Because it's always a question. And yet, we have students who say they don't know how to do the question. How is it possible? Because you have the 10-year series for 2 years on your shelf and you've not done anything about it. That's why you don't know how to answer the question. Are you all following me? If you're following me, type yes. Thank you, Joshua, Sherilyn, Brian, yes, Carol, yes. 3, yes, awesome. Okay. Next. Any of you have any questions? You can either unmute yourself and ask, or you can type it into the chat box. What do you mean by outdated study method, Zelina? Okay, so the outdated study method means how you have studied in your lower secondary science, which most likely you would have done rote memory work, which will not work in upper secondary. How do we memorize the definition questions? So like define osmosis. I'll tell you this. If I were to ask you something like define friendship, chances are you'll be able to say something in your own understanding. You don't have to memorize it because you know what friendship is, you have experienced it, you'll be able to say something. The same way in science, the moment you have deep understanding, all you need to know is if there's any key words that you need to use, you will use it. Actually, you don't even have to memorize because you have deep understanding. So you automatically start using the keywords. And then, unless your English is so bad, which I don't believe any of you, okay? By the way, in exam, science exam, they don't mark you for grammar. That means if you write an answer and then your grammar is wrong, they will ignore it. As long as you write in a way where they understand and you use the right keywords. Then you just write it in the way that you would describe to someone. Okay. So that's how you memorize definition by not memorizing it, by having deep understanding. What is the second practice that you just mentioned just now? So the first practice is when you're actually studying the topic for the first time. So let's say transport in humans. You're studying it, your teacher and your tuition teacher teach you, okay, then you do as practice. The second time is when you're actually sitting for exam, and that is included. Second. What's the third? Who can remember the third? When is the third practice? When do you do it? Yes, correct. Yearly TYS. When do you do it? When? Before O-level. Yes, Aisha, very good. You've been paying attention. 3 months, at least 3 months before, okay? Yeah, when you are actually preparing for your prelim or maybe even after prelim, you prepare. Yes, exactly, Amrita, yes. So 3 months before, okay? So there's 3 levels of practice. If you don't want to buy a new copy of 10-year series, then you just, the first time you practice, you write it in a notebook or in a foolscap paper, right? Yep. So remember this, if I can take a student 2 months before August, September, October, okay, about 2.5 months before the actual exam, and he can go from F9 to A1, you are starting today. There's so many months before your actual O-level. There is no reason why you cannot get A1 or more. There's no reason why you cannot get 90%. Seriously. I've never taken a student who said that, oh, I can't do it. No, they sure can do it. The reason why they couldn't do it before is because no deep understanding. So now we can go to the next level. Let's do tackling exam questions. Oh yeah, just give me a moment while I change the sharing. So you all can see the question. This is an actual exam question. It's an O-level question. And we are going to do it together. And I'm going to show you how to process your thoughts as you do this question. So let's do this together. You all can see this? Okay, you read, read yourself, so I don't want to read it out to you. Okay, let's look at the diagram. I hope you have read it already. Let's look at the diagram. Okay. So this is how I do. This is how I teach my students to analyze the question as they're reading. As they read, they will use a pen, okay, or pencil, and they read like this. Says a member that spent most of his time in the sea. Okay, it breathes and respires in a very similar way to human. The moment I see breathe and respire, what topic is this? Can someone type into the chat box? If you want, you can unmute. Exactly, respiration. Very similar to a human. Yes, breathing, respiration. What does it mean? Why do they have to say? Why does this person, this examiner, have to say very similar to human? Anyone? Why they have to say very similar to a human being? Exactly, very smart. Who's that, Tanisha? Yes, because your syllabus is got to do with human respiration. So they need to tell you, okay, the seal breathe the same way as human, so you can use your same the information that you already know. Okay, so then I look at this question, say stay underwater. So even without reading, I know that at this point the seal has gone underwater, right? You can see, okay, lactic acid. So those of you who study, you will know that when is lactic acid produced? Can someone tell me in the chat box, when is lactic acid produced? For sure, you just realize it's seal. Yes, anaerobic respiration. So logic, so this is how I would think. When does lactic acid produce? Anaerobic respiration. So what does anaerobic respiration means? What is the condition? Remember the logical thinking, the cause and effect. So what is the no oxygen or lack of oxygen, right? No oxygen. Yeah, okay. Yes, excellent. So can you see, I have not even read the question, the actual question answer. I already know all these things coming to my mind. Okay, this is what should happen if you are completely prepared. Okay, now they say, state the chemical process that's taking place in the seal's muscle before it dives. Can someone tell me what is happening? What is the chemical process? Chemical process. Some says respiration, some says aerobic respiration. Both of you wrong. Air. Come on, come on, come on. I'm sure some of you will be able to do it. Oh, wait. I'm the one who's wrong. Before it dives, so I didn't read it properly. So this is supposed to be aerobic respiration. So you're correct. Aerobic respiration. Who said just respiration? If you have just said respiration, you see, okay, Joshua Cheng, you have given the right answer to the wrong question. Chemical potential convert to kinetic energy. So this is what I mean by right answer, but the wrong question. Okay, first thing is, I read the question and I say, oh, they're asking for, there's 2 marks, but it's only 1 line. So I know it must be a very simple answer, but they're going to give 2 marks. Why? Because it is a key difference. First, some people they know will just say respiration, which is half of the story. They really want to see aerobic, these 2 words, aerobic respiration. Okay, so what is the chemical process? It's aerobic respiration. Then you get 1 mark for this, you get 1 mark for this. I want to ask you, do you think that if you just give respiration, will you get 1 mark? Like how sometimes your teacher may give just okay, half of it, 1 mark. Will you get? What do you think at O level? Okay, so what if the question is 1 mark? Is it still compulsory to state aerobic? Yes. They won't give 1 mark for this. They have a system of marking at O levels. So how come teachers know this? Because we went for a course during our teaching time, how O level marks the paper. So we know. So a lot of these, those who are not teachers, tutors who are not, have never been teachers, MOE teachers, they won't know this. Okay. Yes, the answer is they will not give you 1 mark. There is no such thing as half mark in O level. Okay, you either give me the whole thing, unless it's like a 3 marks thing, then they will give you some marks here and there. But for that, you either give aerobic respiration or you don't give any at all. Someone is writing on my thing. Your drawing, okay. Let's see. Okay. State how long after the start of the time period the seal begins to dive. So where? It's here, right? 20. You're following me, 20 minutes. You must say 20 minutes. If you don't say 20 minutes, you will not get the mark. Say the percentage of oxygen in the seal's blood 40 minutes after the start time period. So after the start time, not after the diving. So oxygen is here, so you need to read off. How much is, can someone tell me? If this 20, this must be 10, right? So what is it? First answer. 2. 2 what? This one, 2 moles. Did they ask for percentage? Oh yeah, they asked for percentage. So it's 2% percentage. So you must put here 2%. Okay, now Name the chemical process which starts to take place in the seals muscle during its dive and explain how the graph supports your answer. So what is this now? What is the process? During its dive. So when I read, I'll teach my kids, my students must highlight during its dive. What is the process? Anyone? Can you type in the chat? Chemical process. Hey, what happened? Yes, anaerobic. Okay, anaerobic respiration. So I need to see the, okay, correct. And explanation. What is the explanation? Anyone? Why do you say that this is anaerobic respiration? Looking at the graph now. You cannot just say lactic acid is produced. You must say lactic acid is produced and it increases over time. You see, so there's two parts to the answer. Yes, you can say, like Charlotte said, the concentration of lactic acid increases. That's the perfect way to write. But you can also say lactic acid is produced and the concentration increases over time. That's fine. Okay. And also that the oxygen is reduced. 2 points. So this is where you missed out. So you know that concentration of lactic acid is increasing. Then you must tell yourself, hey, you know, if this is 3 points, this is 3 points, then maybe 1 mark is here and there must be 2 marks here. Cannot be that it's 2 and 1, right? Doesn't make sense because explanation will have more marks. So then I will expect to give 2 points. So if I've only given concentration of lactic acid increase, then in my mind, I know, hey, what is the other point? So a lot of students don't think about this, okay? So you need to know what's the other point. Can you see knowing how it is marked will make you be very aware what exactly to give because you know how many points you need to give. Are you following me? If yes, put yes there in the chat box. Nice, okay. Next, suggest and explain. What, so this thing, you need to say suggest. So you must suggest and then you must explain your suggestion. A lot of students, they just jump to conclusion. They just suggest and then they just put suggest. Or maybe they just explain. Okay, what would happen to the concentration of lactic acid in the seal's blood when it returns to the surface of the sea after its dive? Someone tell me. So there's 3 points. So there should be how many points? 3 marks is 3 points. Yes, concentration of lactic acid will decrease. That's 1 point. What else? You have suggested, but you need to explain. So can you see how you can quickly miss out because in the excitement of the exam, you just write concentration of lactic acid will decrease and you move on to the next question. Then if you've been very exam smart, you know that there's supposed to be 3 points. So one suggestion, maybe explanation. Yes, no, so due to oxygen present, the oxygen, it will repay what that. Come on, those who know. Yes, so Charlotte, you gave that correct answer. More oxygen will be taken in, seal, when the seal returns to the surface, the volume of oxygen increase in the blood and be used to repay the oxygen debt and remove the lactic acid. So can you see? Those who just say, oh, lactic acid will decrease, that's it. You only get 1 mark out of it. Am I making my point clear? By knowing how they mark, how the marks are allocated, you can automatically know whether you're giving the full answer or not. If you get it, say yes. Nice. Okay. Nice. Emily, Amrita, Semlin, Harini, yes. Okay, I want to move on to this. This is a bit more interesting. Now I'll come back to this, huh? Because someone asked about the definition, right? Get this. So figure 8.1, this one represents the action of an enzyme. How many of you have not studied the enzyme yet? It's quite impossible. In Sec 3 is one of the first topic, right? Okay, so enzyme, you know, huh? So the pin, so I actually will want you to circle, underline, whatever, all these things when you are reading the exam question. Pin represents the enzyme. So this is the enzyme. Okay, now the tough part. Look at the picture properly. What is represented by the inflated balloon? Who can tell me? Awesome, Charlotte, you're very fast. It is a substrate. Now, if you tell me any other, Joshua, what you said lungs? Okay, Joshua, you have that problem, huh? Because you always associate lungs with, the questions about respiration, lungs, they always use a balloon. The moment you see a balloon, you just jump to the question. Jump to conclusion that it's talking about lungs. No, it's talking about enzymes. So it is substrate. I know, right? So you have that problem. So you have to be very, very careful. So come to the revision. I'll teach you the crash course. I'll teach you how to be sharp. You have the habit of looking at this and automatically assuming, hey, this must be lung because I've seen 5, 6, 7 other questions that if there's a balloon, then it must be for lung. So it's not. Joshua, you get what I'm trying to say? Okay. Right. So inflated balloon is a substrate. What does a fragment of the burst balloon represent? Products, yes, products form. Because one big compound broken up into smaller compound. Okay, state 2 ways in which 8.1 accurately represents an enzyme control reaction. So now it's getting a bit more difficult, right? So this is the higher level question. Because you're looking at a balloon and what's happening, and then you have to map it to what you know about enzyme. Anyone can tell me 2 ways? The keyword here is accurately represent enzyme control reaction. So enzyme control reaction, you must be thinking about the, like the active site, and then the whatever comes. Nice, Tanisha. So one is that the pin, it remains unchanged. So enzymes are chemically unchanged. What's another one? After the reaction, right? Enzymes are chemically unchanged after the reaction. What's the next one? Highly specific in action. No, it does not show that. Okay. So this is the part everyone is stuck, right? Now, so I will always teach my students like this. If you're stuck, then how? The first thing that comes to your mind is, it's so difficult. I cannot do. Very, very smart, as in Lin, the head of the pin. So, okay, let me guide you through. Awesome, Tanisha. Okay, so if you're stuck, then you cannot just, when you're stuck, this is what you do. So I purposely chose this to point out this method. You cannot just stare at the diagram and then hope something will come. That you do if you're rote memorizing. But if you have deep understanding and use logical thinking, cause and effect, you will ask yourself, okay, so I need one more, right? What do I know about the enzyme reacting with the substrate? Then I must go through this whole concept of, okay, enzyme, one person say it, right? it, what was that? Highly specific, no, not highly specific. It's chemically unchanged. One is chemically unchanged. What else do I know about the enzyme? So you think through everything else, and you will know that the enzyme only reacts at the active site. So either you say there's an enzyme substrate complex form. There is no enzyme substrate complex form, because when they're formed, they're like joined together. There's no picture that shows that it's joined. So active site, why? Because the head of the pin does not burst the balloon, but the sharp point does. So there is a specific point on the pin that creates the reaction. So the point goes to, who said that just now? Yes, SN Lin. So good for you. Okay. Now next, suggest 3 ways in which this does not accurately represent an enzyme control reaction. Oh, this is tough. Can you try to do it? So if you're stuck, what do? You must ask yourself in your mind. So this is a very disciplined way, step by step. Okay. What do I know about enzyme? The way enzyme work. The way enzyme work. You know the way enzyme work. Okay. So I then from here, so some of you are giving me the right answer, but let me just explain. I will learn about the active site, learn about the unchanged chemically, and then I remember there's pH, there's temperature, right? And all these things. So what is not represented here? Active site is represented, unchanged is represented, then it must be pH, right? Affected by pH. Then affected by temperature. pH and temperature are 2 separate words. What more? What more? There needs an activation energy. Yes, Tanisha, yes. So it requires activation energy. So when you're stuck, you need to know how to do this thinking process. Some of you may it's easy for you because you are natural, you know, intuitively you are a logical thinker, but not everyone can do it. Okay. We think we are very logical creatures, but not all of us are logical. Okay. So far, have you all picked up some good tips? If yes, just type yes. Nice. You're sure you must come for the crash course. That can remove that habit of jumping to conclusion. Why H? Joshua, you say H, what does that mean? Okay, so Chloe used to say yes, and Trujan, yes. Okay, awesome. Okay, let me see. Do I have time? Okay, I got time. Just nice. Just for one more question. Okay, now someone asked me, hey, how to remember osmosis? How to define osmosis? Okay, then I told you, hey, you actually don't need to remember, don't need to memorize. You just need to have deep understanding. What do I mean by that? First, I need to know this. When I have a deep understanding, I know osmosis is about what? At the very basic level, foundation level. It's a movement of what? Someone tell me, someone help me. Joshua Cheng, what do you mean by your teacher marks you by keywords? You want to unmute yourself and explain to me? Okay, so if you want to unmute. Okay, Joshua, if I don't write a certain word, I don't get the marks. It is not just the words. Because I'm assuming you have been doing rote memory work. Okay. So when you do rote memory, sometimes some of the words you cannot remember, then you just anyhow enter. Some of the words must be used. So with deep understanding, you will automatically use the right words, because when you're practicing, remember there must be practice, right? You will use the word. The more you practice using the right words, it will automatically come to you. Okay, let's go step by step. Okay, some of you are like way ahead of me. So I'm doing this to show you how the thinking goes on in the mind. Okay, it's movement of water. Other than movement of water, what else? It must be through, I'm using short form, yes, partially permeable membrane. So this is the second thing that I remember. Then I remember movement of water, like, hey, movement from where to where? Because movement in science must be from somewhere to somewhere, right? So how? It must be from a region of higher water potential to region of lower water potential. All of you agree with me? Correct, huh? Okay. Now, if I have this region of higher, yeah, correct, region of higher potential. Okay, then you say down the concentration gradient. I have these 4 points. Can I not make a, sorry, you're right, initial potential gradient. Concentration gradient is for diffusion. So if I have these 4 points, can I not make a sentence out of these 4 points? Can, right? I just need to remember these 4 things. I don't even have to remember this as definition, because I need to know these 4 points to know what osmosis is. Actually, this point down the potential gradient is not that important as long as you say this. I don't know about your teacher, but at O level, as long as you mention this or this is fine. Because from a region of high water potential to lower water potential is already down the potential gradient. So you can say movement of water through a partially permeable membrane down the potential gradient. That's fine. Okay, or you can say movement of water through a partially permeable membrane from a region of high water potential to a lower water potential. Okay. Now, are you getting what I'm trying to say? That once I understand that these are the 3 things make up osmosis, do I need to memorize the definition? I don't have to. I only need to know, partially permeable membrane. This word. But you already understand what it is. What without the partially permeable membrane, why would the water move? It will be the solute that moves. Okay. And then what is water potential? So this one you need to be at the studying level. You need to know what is a water potential. You need to kind of really understand what is the water potential. If you don't understand what's water potential, you will then, it's a cause and effect, you will not understand osmosis very well. And if you don't understand osmosis very well, you will have to memorize. And if you can remember properly, good. If you remember wrongly, you won't get the points. That's it. Are you following me? Okay, now the next thing is this. Now you define already, explain why osmosis is a special form of diffusion. Why? Okay, Swida, you're right. Special because, yes. So if I put Swida and Charlotte's point together, I'll get why it's special. First, there must be a partially permeable membrane. And second, it only occurs where the water molecules move. Now, osmosis only occurs for water molecule. I would rather you say osmosis happens when water molecules move, because that's what science wants. It's one very specific description. Only occurs for water molecules does not say anything to me. I don't know that you know it's water molecules moving. Of course, because of the first part you say, then I'll accept it. But if let's say if If this part was not asked, they didn't ask this, they only asked, explain why osmosis is a special form of diffusion. Then someone, maybe Charlotte, you say, okay, osmosis only occurs for water molecules. I won't give you the mark because I don't know whether you know water molecules is moving or not moving or what. You get how teachers mark? If yes, type yes. Okay, so I have 7 marks here, right? So I will have 1, 2, 3, and then the water moving, another one, and then another one, and maybe I will get it. I get another point for saying from a region of higher water potential to a region of lower water potential. So I need to see these two. If you say down the potential gradient, then probably the marker will give you both marks here because it's already automatic. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So one more mark. Maybe there's another keyword. So because I have not written it out, but what's important is every time you read the question, after you read the question, before you even think, your eyes must straight away go down here, go to the marks. It's 7 marks, so there must be some kind of 7 points. So you write out and you tell yourself, do I have the 7 points? Then you try to figure it out. Okay. Then the question is, how in the world can a student know what is the marking points, right? Of course you will know, because if you come for the sessions and then I will teach you and you will start to get the hang of how to look at the marks and where the points are. And by the time it's done, you will know exactly how to look for it. So this one, you need extra training. You cannot just do it on your own, especially as a student. Now here, the last one, explain the importance of active transport in the human alimentary canal. You all know what an active transport. So I will say, okay, this active transport, why is it important? Who wants to try? There's 3 marks, so there must be at least around 3 points. So I will aim for 3 points. Just type out anything, any point that comes to your mind. You don't have to wait all until you get all 3 points. Help staff more. Move. Okay, so Joshua, you have this problem. So help staff move. Staff is what? Staff could be books. Staff could be a lot of things. So in science, we cannot use all this kind of vague expression. Stuff could be my furniture also. Stuff is like human stuff. I don't know, Joshua, are you trying to just like create jokes or you really have problem with this? Okay, so you need to talk to me, Joshua. Even when the concentration dissolve, when the concentration of dissolved nutrients in the nutrient is higher than the concentration, okay, absorb food into the blood, other substance, okay, you're getting somewhere there. Okay, so first I will say what is active transport? Is moving food molecules across, food molecules across the membrane of the alimentary canal against the concentration gradient of the food, right? This first. This allows all the food. So you cannot say food, moving all food molecules such as, so you must state an example, such as glucose across the membrane against the concentration gradient using energy. This allows what? Can someone finish it? This allows anyone try? So moving food against the concentration gradient so that, or this allows what? So that what? Okay, so I hear silence. Huh? Yes, Charlotte. So in deep understanding, when you are studying active transport, a lot of you just study as, oh, it's one bunch of facts. Active transport, you move the food molecules in against the diffusion gradient. So you're actually going up the diffusion gradient. Okay, then you just keep it at that. And you never think, why do you need to do that? Like what Charlotte said, so that complete absorption of food molecules into the bloodstream, and there will be no wastage of food, okay, or reduce wastage, something like that. So complete absorption. So can you see you have at least 3 points there? One is to explain what is active transport. You must explain what's active transport. You must use one example, because they didn't say any example, right? So any food, you can say amino acid, you can say glucose, you can say fatty acid, doesn't matter. Okay, and the last one is so that there is complete absorption or there's reduced wastage of food that leads to egestion. Remember, egestion is defecation. Yeah. Do you get how to answer question, like the step by step? First read the question and then look at the marks and then think about how to think about when you're stuck, think about the topic, think about the specific concept. Those of you who got it, say yes. Nice. Okay. So Chloe, Amrita, Nishita, Arjuna, Jane, nice. Those who still need help, how many of you need help? Say me. Okay, Joshua, you need help. Okay, so with that, I'll wrap up. Remember all the points, Joshua, you say, because the answers that you give seems like all the things that could go wrong in a exam. What is your grade, Joshua? So it's not that you cannot do well in bio, it's because the way you approach the way you look at the content is not there yet. So once it's there, you'll sure get A1. Okay. It's either you get C or you get A1, right? You don't need to get B and all those things. Because it's either you prepare properly or you prepare like, blah, 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 like that. So you get C. And then those people who get B is because they got very good memory. That's it. And then somehow their memory not good enough to get an A. The people who get A usually they got it. They are automatically their brain is tuned to logical thinking, so they kind of get it quite easily.